It's all good.
All good. Hello, everyone. I am Sunny Chase, and I'm quite grateful to be here tonight. I've been a little bit away, and now I am back. So I am so grateful to be back myself. And honored to be hosting Manu Mariel tonight, and we are going to be continuing the Age of Brilliance. And we have we're actually at part 30, but this is sort of part two from last week. So we will be starting on number 7, and I think Manu is going to give us a little bit of a recap for 1 through 6 for those of us who need that to be the case, which would also be me. So I'm very grateful about that. And I want to mention really fast that we're going to be understanding true spontaneity versus impulse. Continuity gives inspiration, impact. We'll discover the 12 impacts of spontaneity and continuity. Receive a simple practice to stay in flow. Yay, we need those action steps, don't we, everyone? So, very good. I'm going to hand the mic over to Manu and welcome, Manu. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
doing this for us this very
Thank
day.
you. Thank you, Sunny. And the best way to pronounce my name is Meenu. So
Minu, after all these
I
years,
know, you imagine. But I think you
I
you you do it this way. I mean, you've done many shows with me. Sometimes.
Me knew. I thank you for that correction, and it makes all the difference.
Okay,
So very
okay.
good. And is everyone with us, Minu?
Yeah, we'll get going. And
Very
whoever
good.
joins, if you can just let them in.
I shall indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, Age of Brilliance, Spontaneity and Continuity. This is the portal that we are talking about. And, I think once we go past 9, then the portal actually opens. So we covered about 6 points last time. And today I expect to complete it. But let's see, just a quick recap, first of all. It is in this spontaneity and continuity is where the age of brilliance inspiration learns to stay. Inspiration is in spirit, we are stationed. Okay. So when you are stationed in spirit, you are actually in your brilliance. And it is this portal that actually gets you um, to stay here. We talked about and getting an understanding of spontaneity and then how continuity comes together with this. I mean, the interesting thing for me, first of all, was to me, they felt like polar opposites, continuing to do something and spontaneously coming up with something, right? They felt like polar opposites. And yet, continuity is the one that anchors whatever it is that you spontaneously create. Without continuity, it'll be literally like, navigating landmines, one going from one to the next to the next, but all constantly on alert, your nervous system heightened and in intense state. It is a combination of the two that that really enables that staying power. That was a huge understanding from this particular portal for me. So, spontaneity is inspired action arising in real time. Inspired is, in spirit, you are wired. It's not from impulse, fear, or reaction, but it's an action that is coming from a deep listening. And the way it feels is it's like, clarity arrives without any effort. The next step feels completely obvious. And with the lightness of being, we follow through with that. Spontaneity alone is not mastery, though. It is the ignition. It is not the propulsion. And that is where continuity comes in. Continuity after spontaneous action is a little bit like if you just envision, there's a doorway, spontaneous inspired action opens the doorway. And that in itself is wow, aha. It is continuity that enables you to walk through it. A very huge realization, by the way, you know? And without continuity, you never attain cadence. So, in the context of the age of brilliance, Sunny, you were saying earlier on, it is the age of brilliance, and sometimes it doesn't feel that way. Age of brilliance is very much about you connecting and staying in your brilliance. And it is, you can have a treasure trove of spontaneous actions that might have completely plugged you into your brilliance. But without that continuity, you won't walk across the path, across the doorway. That's the key thing. Insights will remain beautiful, but unexpressed. Momentum will surge, but then collapse into self doubt. Inspiration becomes entertainment. Continuity is not forced repetition, it is staying in the relationship with what life reveals to you. Spontaneity gives you the signal, and it is continuity that gives you the impact. And hence, the two go together. The truth basically is that spontaneity requires continuity to matter. Continuity requires spontaneity to stay alive. And when they are separated, spontaneity becomes chaos or fantasy. Continuity becomes a drag or obligation. But when they are combined, that is where you create a brilliant flow of your brilliance. So we talked about the 12 impacts of spontaneity plus continuity. So just to do a very quick recap of what we've already done, the first impact is trust in self. You start trusting yourself. You act when inspiration arises and you stay with it because that trust is established. You feel reliable from within, and that reliability and trust in yourself is what dissolves self doubt. The second impact was creative momentum. Inspiration doesn't stop at the first expression, it actually gets ideas to evolve into living systems. Otherwise, they will simply be great inspirations, and that in itself will be very profound and powerful, but ultimately entertaining. There's nothing wrong in entertaining. However, the staying power of the impact is what supports you to experience the age of brilliance no matter what. Without it, you'll go in and out, in and out, in and out of your own brilliance. Whatever may occur around you, if you are stationed in your brilliance, first of all, you have that powerful torch of illumination. Whatever may be occurring, you can use that torch of illumination to get the insights that you can act upon. Stillness becomes your reality. Sovereignty is you own it and you operate from a space of inner knowing. It is through this momentum that brilliance compounds. The third impact was emotional stability. It's it's interesting, as I'm preparing for this and I write these things up, and it's like, oh yeah, of course, it just feels so obvious, and yet we don't even think about spontaneity and continuity going together, let alone them being one portal. So of course, emotional stability will be there. You don't abandon actions when emotions fluctuate. But if you only focused on spontaneity and people around you say, what's up with you? Why are you doing this now? You'll abandon it. Or you will start allocating an undue amount of time justifying. And who are you really justifying to? Whenever you get into a space of justification, you are only ever justifying to yourself. And why would anyone justify anything to themselves when self-doubt has crept in and it is multiplying? What I noticed, right, as a behavioral shift in me, as I operate from this space, is and when people do, question my decisions and stuff, a lot of the time they do that. I mean, even this, we're living in Dubai and everything is cool, and now we've decided we are actually going to go move to Chiang Mai in Thailand in April. And there's like lots of questions that people have. I just become very curious as opposed to the way I used to be, where my mind would be thinking of how do I respond to this? Not giving the person a chance to fully express what it is that they wish to say. I would often interrupt and create a whole new uh, game where the other person is having to justify their questions, you know? And it's like when I look back at some of the incidents and situations, it would be like, what a game, you know? It was just a game of I have to win at all costs, you know? So this emotional stability comes from that combination of stability and continuity. And as a result, feelings that we have inform, they don't derail. Stuff happening around the world, everywhere, not everywhere, in many parts of the world, that does generate strong feelings. You know, I can now feel my feelings. Before I never felt them, so it took forever to realize that something had occurred that generates some serious consideration. I was like coasting, not getting angry, but not actually experiencing joy either. And this in between state, it's not a state of mellowness, it's a state of disconnect. And if you're disconnected, what are you disconnected from? Your brilliance. So as a result, my output when I look back was at best mediocre. And I was a high performer in my days, not even close to what is now possible you know, it is this amazing sense of never ending infinite curiosity that also gives me this vibrant vitality. Now we have this session here, it's 5:30 a.m. is when we began this. And so for me to do the session at 5:30, most of you know I do have a little bit of an elaborate morning practice. I have to be up by 3:30, quarter to 4 at the latest. I was a little bit late today, 4 a.m. And then I have a flight to take this morning. So there's quite a lot that is happening, which could very easily, derail. Like even every 5 minutes matters. But we were able to manage it, Sunny, by you and I starting 5 minutes after, right? But that only comes from me not allowing my emotions to take. charge. I could have gone into, oh my God, how could I do this? Today is the one day I should have woken up exactly on time, you know? I think the main thing is feelings informed. They don't derail. That's beautiful. The fourth impact I talked about last time was aliveness without burnout. Continuity is fueled by freshness, not pressure. So doing something because you do it, because it has always been done, no freshness there. That's where it becomes a drag. When continuity is fueled by freshness, where you're free to also bring in spontaneity, that is what enables sustained energy without exhaustion. And you know what's brought this completely alive to me is doing my lectures at colleges. Because it's the same program that I'm delivering, you know, same slides. And I'm doing it because I see that the impact it has on students. But what I look at, how do I bring freshness? Continuity is what's going to ensure that this every child is nurtured becomes a part of dignifying life, which is a campaign that I've taken on. So how do I get freshness in my continuity is by being fully present and experiencing the stories, the sharing of the students, where each one is a fresh expression of a soul being having a very different human experience to my own. So that gets me to be super, engaged. And I'm doing like, 3-day program, 6 hours each day. And the teachers are there, like there'll be 200, 300 students. Teachers are also there coordinating. Each teacher is allocated 20 students. And they often say to me that in our 2 hour lecture, we are not able to, maintain this level of energy. But you don't seem to be doing anything for this energy. You just seem to be, energetic. I really am not thinking about that. I'm thinking about the freshness of these conversations, of these different human beings with every piece that I'm sharing and teaching them. I'm also keeping myself fresh with, wow, what have I learned from this section with this group of amazing soul beings? It is amazing for me to think that these are soul beings. They become peers, they become contemporaries, and sometimes they become comrades. And if I do feel a surge of exhaustion at any point in time, sometimes some of them can go on and on. For example, I just share, hey, I'm feeling a little exhausted myself in this moment. So let's do do a breath that will get that surge of energy for all of us. The fact that I'm feeling it, some of you may be feeling it here too. So there's no issue in I don't have to work hard at anything anymore. This was not the case. I was a great believer and had been trained that you have to work hard to get anywhere in life. Now it's hardly work. It literally is play. And so much gets done. The fifth impact is integrity of action. And really, what you're doing here is you are honoring your actions because it is in action where implementation occurs, and it is in implementation that you move forward. And what is the impact of that? Your word becomes energetically clean. I had a very interesting experience yesterday. There's someone that I know, he does amazing events. To me, that is his genius, to put on phenomenal events. But everybody likes to make hay while the sun shines, and the sun is shining on the real estate market here in Dubai, you know? So he's got into real estate. And the various things that he had actually, shared and committed to bringing forward for me and for our group. And we were meeting. I mean, and none of those have happened. So it's like more than 2 years that he has been committing, and then nothing happens. It's like he completely doesn't even know that he committed to anything. So it's okay. I mean, I've learned that he is who he is. He's not a co-creator of any kind, and also not a collaborator, but he's there. Anything that I can contribute, I will, but I don't have to. And then somebody else was talking to me yesterday as we were looking at what are we doing in Saudi Arabia this year. And this person says to me, this guy, the one who just never follows through, he often says that you have to make sure that every time you speak to someone, you're giving them what they want. And my immediate reactive response was, wow, that's what he's been doing. Just giving me the words, thinking that is what I want, not connecting to what is it that I really want is the impact, as opposed to some words. So, this whole point about the words are energetically filthy, and ever since my field is clear and clean, it's like it's meaningless. Doesn't matter. Whatever he says is just like water off a duck's back because the energetic match is not there. And each one of us has had this experience from time to time. When our words are energetically clean, they land. And it's almost like, people become a sponge for whatever it is that you are sharing. So this impact of integrity of action is extremely important, and it only comes with spontaneity and continuity. Right now, like this person has to travel from another emirate to come into Dubai for meetings and stuff. And before we used to meet him quite regularly, now it's a continuity drag. So right now it is like, okay, I don't have to meet him. Somebody else, if you want to, you go. I don't need to meet him. But if I am to take that up again, I will have to bring that freshness back. He doesn't become a bad guy. He isn't. He's a soul being having a human experience. And then through the fractures in his human disguise, he's arrived at various strategies and he's implementing that, thinking that it serves him. But actually, he probably doesn't even realize the impact it has. He's actually a magnet for being labeled as unreliable, not just by me, by others also. I don't like the world of labels, so I don't really go in, don't engage with that too much. So the sixth one is deepened listening, where each action keeps you open to the next signal. Very, very important to understand this nuance of here. We can get consumed by our actions. You know, I have to finish and go rush to my grandkids because today I'm flying and I have to go to school with them. Well, I mean, like, I will not have the deepened listening that enables me to give you this transmission. Bulk of my conscious awareness mind will be there about, and that future doesn't even exist right now. It'll happen after we finish. So, this is the key thing to remember. When you have spontaneity and continuity and you learn to dance in it, knowing that the two go together, and not only they go together, they actually provide a unique leverage to each other. And that enables us to fulfill our purpose of life. Remember, life is a state where an organism is breathing. That's all it is. There is only one purpose to life, which is the gift we get from our Creator. And that one purpose for every life is to come alive. Spontaneity and continuity enables that to happen. So, being in action to only in service of aliveness does not necessarily keep you open because you can easily get consumed in that. You require both. And how do you know you're having both? When you are experiencing deep listening. When you're in a space of deep listening, you can simply allow actions to flow because each action opens you up to the next signal and you take the next step next. Guidance starts to sharpen. I mean, there's somebody who's like doing some research on, my guidance to arrive at a methodology. And he cannot accept that everybody can do this. So I've got him to meet a few people who all they've done is read my B book. There are at least three of them, and all three of them, simply by reading the B book and implementing what's in the B book, have become amazing intuitives. So guidance sharpens for everyone. We are born with it. As a soul being, you are omnipresent and you observe and experience everything. And it is this deep listening that matures through consistency. So this is the recap. We're now going to go into the seventh impact. Before I start that, just going to bring you back in, Sunny, to see if there's anything that you wish to share, ask, clarify, or, you know, comment on.
Thank you so much. Yes, firstly, I'd like to say that I absolutely love your self-awareness and your self-reflection. The second thing is I just get a big kick out of it and just so cool and it helps us all do the same. So thank you for that. Gives us a permission structure. The curiosity. I think that that's one of my favorite qualities these days. And I think as one gets older, it's super fun if we can get more and more curious. Some of the most magical masters I've worked with in my life, with my show and other things, are the most curious. And I could name drop, and they're just the most curious and most curious about me, other people. So I love that you bring that up. And I think that the curiosity allows us to have the freshness. And so when you're teaching your students and you come in with a curiosity and you know they're going to bring you something fresh, and then you can kind of play with that and jazz up your freshness and deliver it and have so much joy and fun with it. So I really wanted to just mention that, and I just love that, and it's such a great reminder to us that we can really have that deep listening and let go of our own, like you were saying, interrupting people, or and just allowing all of this whatever is to be around and be curious about what's happening now.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just got a lot of that from this first six.
Thank you. Great, great. Okay, let's go to the seventh one. The seventh impact is confidence without ego. And this is ego as everybody defines ego, as opposed to ego as I define it, which is egg you on. So confidence arises from embodied proof, not bravado. Bravado is exhausting because internally you know what the truth is. You are in um, absolute conflict with the embodiment of proof. So your mind is going crazy, your nerves are so strained. And it is this lack of embodied proof where you're going for bravado as a form of expression to feel confident. You know the truth, the proof is not there. So you're having to be on all the time. Your breath becomes shallower and shallower. And there are many, many people around the world that are in public arenas that are operating from this kind of bravado-based confidence. But really, true confidence, what is confidence without ego? It arises from embodied proof. When you are operating from embodied proof, what that enables is that quiet authority. And why that matters, this quiet authority, is that true confidence does not perform. It's stand. You just stand in it. There is no performance required. Your presence is that performance. And the results flow automatically. So all the way back, and there are pretty much all of you here have been with me going on this journey from the time I first began these transmissions in 2020. And therefore, every time I talk about anything, I immediately go into how it has showed up in my life. There are some things because I'm generating these transmissions, So it's not as if things have happened in my life and I've arrived at these conclusions. Perhaps at a cellular level, that is what has occurred. And therefore, the transmissions are able to come in the form of a structure. But for my conscious mind to accept the embodiment of what I'm sharing, I go back. And many times I've given you all a practice. Go back last 2 years, last 5 years, last 10 years, and find where this has occurred to understand it. I do it for myself only so that I really get that embodied proof of what I'm sharing has actually impacted me. I remember when we began in 2020, because there's so much of very unique collection of experiences have occurred in all our lives since 2020. I mean, Sunny, we used to talk about the miracles of 2020. They are now unfolding so beautifully. Now is the time to actually write that book, to see everything that occurred there. And we anchored it so powerfully. So it is happening. That the time will be when the time will be for it. Because it has given all of us that embodied proof. Literally, if there is anything, there are many things that are fearful that are occurring around the world. We've got through 2020. We all are embodied proof of the moment you come home to you, you are in your soul presence. And in your soul presence, brilliance is a given. And it just literally carries you through. You become an embodied proof. This too shall pass. We can all say that because we are all embodied proof, knowing this too shall pass. That is, confidence arising from embodied proof. So you've got that already. Cellular memory is active. And that amazing quiet authority means you can take a stand, your words are energetically clean, and things occur because you say so. Each of you will, and the world will, start to see something that I've been going on about. You are the guru that you are waiting for. You are that guru that has given you that quest to find one. Everybody else that you may have called a guru is a guide for some aspect who can lead you to find your own connection to the guru that you are. This embodied, and why do I say this? Embodied proof is embodied in you, not my body, your body. I share what I share as some things that I have got as data, processed it and made them information, processed it and started implementing it to make it knowledge, and then implemented it to with the intention of distilling the nuances to make it wisdom. And some have had sufficient practice to just keep going, and they have become an inner knowing. So, yeah, sure, I'm an embodied proof of many things I talk about. And there are many things that you are an embodied proof of. So, with this, a very simple practice of really looking at, what are the things that I just do? I don't even think about it, it just occurs. I mean, like, Sunny, you are an amazing, amazing host of
Mm,
shows that intrigue, that get people to self reflect, that pull out these amazing insights. I mean, we've done shows on a variety of topics, you know, and I've been there with some of your other guests, very, very distinct to me. And you flow from one to the other. I mean, what I loved about the way you do it is that complete presence,
mm,
so that you have that embodied proof. And there you are completely confident, no question. I have also been on shows where the host is on the edge. And with podcasting, so many podcasters are coming up, and really, as a podcaster, there is something unique and distinct that you have. But a lot of the podcasters, when they're on the edge, it's as if they're getting their confidence from the guests that they're bringing in,
mm, mm,
And I often say to some of these podcasters where I get an opportunity that, interlace your podcasts with your point of view. Have a show which is just you.
mm,
Having been someone in my old incarnation, I
mm,
created the Inspired Leaders Network. I would find these leaders who are doing something extraordinary, bring them in and showcase them. My
mm,
mind was so analytical that I started analyzing what is it that's happening, what's causing them to do this, you know, all of that. And I realized that actually I'm a world expert in this inspired leadership because I had this opportunity to study so many people. So as a podcast show host, and Ananta, you're here, you're about to reimagine yourself in this as a podcast host very soon and be quite prolific in it. As a podcast host, if you become this lifelong learner, it doesn't happen
mm,
by going from one podcast to the other. Do the podcast and just really reflect what you have learned. Bring that in as your understanding, and then implement it so you become an embodied proof of these amazing insights. Doesn't take long, you know? And the quality of your engagement will be completely different. And I do see you doing it because you do implement, Sunny. It's pretty
mm,
awesome. to be doing what you have been doing all these years, you know. So you're like a one of these examples of there is that embodied proof that exists. There may be other areas that you may not be that great at. So what? That confidence is there. You'll pick it up. You weren't born a show host, you know. You picked it up and then you just did it out of that amazing curiosity that you picked up. Thank you for allowing me to illustrate this point. The eighth impact of spontaneity and continuity is results, results that feel natural. If you get, and this is what has taken me years to embody, that results simply flow because I intended that. I simply have to show up, be the person who's experiencing these results with all of the vibrational qualities, and choose my B word, allow the doing to flow. For my mind to feel restful in doing, planning is important. So I plan. I don't become the plan. I plan the plan and I act on it. Now, what happens is when results feel natural, your effort aligns with flow. You don't have to push and push and push. Somebody once said to me, if you're trying too hard, it's perhaps not meant to be. And I remember saying to her at the time, I make the impossible happen. There's nothing that is not meant to be. If I'm putting my effort into something, it is meant to be. But I used to use bull force. Now, I mean, that again, that was justification. Now, as a point of curiosity, it's like, my effort isn't aligning with flow here. I'll achieve the result. Yeah. But what's the consequence of pushing myself through to get there? Okay, do I choose that consequence? Can I declare that I choose that consequence? Which is, I choose being burnt out and out of action for several weeks or several months in pursuit of this result. Can I declare that? Sometimes I do declare that, until I decide to make a different choice. I mean, there are few people that are very impacted by some major world leaders, operating in certain ways. And these are people that I know have plugged into their brilliance, but they are some people that are very close to them have been severely impacted by some of these world leader choices. So they are impacted. And yeah, it's a lot of energetic focus on my part to support them. But I do take it on. I mean, of course, I call on my amazing teams of celestial beings to support me in this. But I do choose that consequence, that it will take me out of action for a period of time. So the main thing is, when you are doing spontaneity and continuity results feel natural. Effort aligns with flow. And whenever effort is not aligning with flow, you have the freedom to choose whether you wish to continue that approach or not. And when the moment you choose it, there is a flow that automatically comes in, and your vitality gets preserved. And therefore, what it enables is that outcomes emerge without strain. There's some big things that have occurred in the last few weeks, and this is the time where I'm on a deadline with my next book, you know? And okay, my guidance was to actually support these people, and it has a consequence of possibly delaying the book and therefore not meeting the deadlines. And we have a launch already announced for the 24th of February. I did trust, and yeah, I mean today is the deadline for copy editing, and the book was delivered yesterday for copy editing. It outcome did emerge without strain. And why does this matter? Why does this impact where results feel natural matter? Results are only sustainable when they feel right. You'll feel it. And then when there is that feeling right feeling in you, there is a lightness of being that enables the results to become regenerative. Very important to define what is that result. Some of you here are on my Exit Miracle program. I, it's when you are operating from the center of the three triads, it's pretty awesome because you do see a lot of result. But always go back and match that result to your exit miracle, which is your declaration. Let's go to the ninth impact, because this is a very big topic that at some point I'll talk about. The ninth impact is you attain resilience in uncertainty. What this means is you return to your brilliance even when clarity fades temporarily. That's what it means, resilience in uncertainty. And what that enables is the experience of stability through all of the unknowns. And it matters. Why it matters? Because continuity anchors when inspiration goes silent. Sometimes things have occurred and things that, you may have had the spontaneous inspiration and it was great surge of momentum and vitality and energy, but didn't follow through with continuity. Something occurs and inspiration goes silent. When you have experienced spontaneity and you continue with continuity, that is what anchors. So when inspiration goes silent, you're able to get back to it. When you're able to get back to it and you're able to do it 2 or 3 times, you develop an inner knowing that whatever occurs, I can be counted on to keep taking that next step next. And that is what gives you that confidence to return, even if clarity fades. And you're experiencing this impact, resilience in uncertainty. By the way, all of us here, all of us, and several billion people around the world have experienced this for real, which is why 2020s and everything that occurred during that time I call the crown phenomenon. It really did connect us to the cosmos in such a way that we do know we have this cellular memory of resilience in uncertainty. Once that cellular memory is there, it can be invoked at any time for any circumstance. The 10th impact is mastery of time. How it shows up is you neither rushed nor stalled. You have that freedom to take the next step next, not the panic which strains your nervous system. It's more than enough that is happening out there that's giving some stress to our nervous system. Spontaneity and continuity, and doing it in such a way that you accomplish cadence of this method of working. You keep taking that next step next. Neither rushed nor stalled. I mean, Stephen, you're mastering it. Even when I sort of push you to get into the exit miracle, you're taking that next step next. You're taking that input, taking that next step next. You're neither rushed nor stalled. The key to vibrance, vitality. What it enables is a rhythm. Rhythm replaces urgency. Urgency is very rapidly becoming another one of those words, like, you know, like trying and stuff, or hoping that I'm going to start saying, let's drop it. When you rush, you are in a state of consumption. You are being consumed by the situation or your emotional response to it. And when you are being consumed by something external, you are consuming your vital life force. You become that, they talk about the flesh-eating bacterial infection. You become the vital life force eating virus on yourself. When rhythm is lost and you operate from urgency. Now, there are times that call for spontaneity because an urgent situation has occurred and you've got to act on it. Make sure continuity follows. Otherwise, it'll be one urgency after another, after another. You don't want cadence around urgency. And why this matters is this time collapse that I talk about responds to rhythm, not force. Because in force, there is so much of you that is incongruent. And therefore, there are so many conflicts, like little time bombs bursting inside of you because you don't believe it's possible. And you're having to override it and stuff. So time collapse responds to rhythm. Just take that next step next. I talk about a business that I was working with, and we accomplished that exit miracle in less than 6 months, where they were able to sell their organization at 116 million or $118 million, $116 million. Next step next. The rhythm was important. There were so many points where due diligence is happening. They found this. Oh my God, they might reduce their offer. They could easily have just gone, one urgency after another, after another. Everybody would be running around like headless chickens, reacting, reacting, reacting. That inner confidence that we've got a robust business and we are going to give you whatever you want because we want you to have us the best, in the best version of this business, calls for responding. It is in response that rhythm becomes you develop cadence of rhythm. Reaction destroys rhythm because reaction destroys cadence. What guarantees cadence is spontaneity and continuity together. Becoming overly attached to continuity in the favor of cadence can take the freshness away. And your emotional burden will again interfere with cadence. This is a really important impact, the mastery of time collapse. The 11th one is identity evolution. What I mean by this impact of identity evolution is you become the person who completes cycles. And what it enables is your own identity as the person who completes upgrades naturally. What does that, why does it matter? Because you become congruent with what you initiate. You come from a knowing, I complete. So Stephen, when I was going on yesterday about exit miracle, which is what it is, I want you to get completely congruent with I initiated that resolve. And with everything I'm doing, I am completely congruent with I initiated that, that job is done. So I will never let you lose sight of that. But it's going to come, it's going to occur from you being congruent with it. And you'll all have, your own resolves. When you become congruent with a knowingness that who I am is I complete what I initiate. Your own identity upgrades, it has a direct impact on upgrading your vibrational frequency by 100 notches. Massive, massive impact. This, this impact in itself, the identity evolution, it's a vibrational evolution, and many of you have heard me say that when you are over 740, there are many illnesses, chronic ailments that just disappear. They cannot exist in that vibration. Over 800, there are some bacterial infections that are very resilient, disappear. And I've experienced that with, I had cellulitis, which is a bacterial infection that goes under the skin, which is how I got to Bali and all of that all those years ago. And I was told that it never goes away. So the lower leg of, above my ankle was discolored because of that cellulitis experience. And every time I would get stressed, I would start feeling that the leg swelling up and, all the cellulitis infection situations. And I would be back on this big dollop of antibiotics, extended duration. It's gone. It has gone, completely gone. I know it is a vibrational frequency rise that enabled that, because I'm consistently operating well over 860. The 12th, we are a minute over, but I'm going to just finish this one. The 12th impact is leadership in this new world, in the age of brilliance. And really, what happens here is that you lead through your embodiment. You become a living model of flow for everyone around you. And that enables trust, enables followership, enables cultural coherence. Because now, as the age of brilliance evolves and is setting in, the world is no longer going to follow intensity. It's going to follow integrity. We are already starting to see it in many ways. And it's going to happen, it's going to be more and more and more that way. It is giving rise to some intense ways in which intensity addicts are having to release their addictions. And so it is. You become the leader of this new world. How you actually do this is spontaneity asks, what is alive now? Continuity asks, how do I stay present with what just opened up? This practice is not control, it is really returning to your brilliance. It's a sort of a return to thread, return to choice, return to the game that you've created. And a simple practice that we can all take on when you have this amazing, spontaneous, inspired action, just simply ask, what's that next small action within 24 hours that's going to keep this alive? And just do it. And take that next step next. Really important. This is the practice of spontaneity and continuity. Spontaneity is the spark of brilliance, continuity is the devotion to its becoming. In the age of brilliance, mastery is not intensity, it is aliveness that stays. This is how miracles occur. This is how leaders are formed. This is how brilliance becomes lived. Just pause for a moment, not to think, not to decide, but to feel what has already shifted. You're not here because you lack inspiration. There's a big part of you, your soul presence is already stationed in spirit. You're here because your inspiration is asking to be honored. Spontaneity is that life touching you. Continuity is you choosing to stay in touch. And it is in this moment where brilliance stops visiting, it actually starts living through you. Over to you, Sunny, to conclude.
As we are at our time, I would love to just say that I feel this whole talk brought up so many beautiful feelings for me, and many of them are about sort of uh, being younger than we used to be. I'm thinking of the song The Birds that, from many years ago. I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. And I feel that all these concepts are a way for us to bring our youth back, our vitality back, our spiritual breadcrumbs to what do we do next to make it be fun and light and easy, and let go of the burden, lay down the burden. And again, just that humility with the curiosity that gives us that great humility, which makes us very, very young. Maybe not on the outside, but certainly on the inside. Maybe on the outside too. So I really
Yeah,
want to thank you, Minu, for how this has all gone for us in these last days and these last moments tonight. So we will be back next week. Yes.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you.
And we complete our session today. Enjoy your brilliance. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.